About a year and a half ago, Discord group Atlas Treyding was charged by both the SEC and the Department of Justice for pumping and dumping stocks. And as of yesterday, apparently, according to PJ Matlock, who was the leader of that clan, their case has been dismissed. I've made a handful of videos discussing their case, going over the filings, so I figure I should make one last quick video to wrap up my three major thoughts on this. Let me start with point number one that I think is going to be the most important in a conversation like this, because it's a very contentious case. You've got two very aggressive sets of people surrounding this case, it seems, both the people that are attacking Atlas and the people defending Atlas. I'm just going to start with this. I'm happy for him. Listen, I don't like any of the Atlas guys. I still don't agree with what they did, whether found guilty or not. I don't foresee myself ever getting a beer with any of them. But at the same token, I don't cheer for anyone's downfall, right? My life doesn't change whether they do or do not go to prison. So I'm happy that they got the charges dropped. They get to move on with their lives. I just hope on the back end of it that everyone's learned a vital lesson. And this is going to transition me nicely into my second point I want to cover in this video, and that is they did it, right? There's really no doubt that they pumped stocks in order to sell them to their followers so that they could profit for themselves. I'm not going to do it in this video. I've already made two other videos about this in which I dive into both the SEC and the Department of Justice filings against them. If you want to check them out specifically, I'll link it in the top right now. Click it and watch it after this one. But it was pretty well seen that the Atlas admins would tweet something, or they'd post something on Twitter, post something on Discord about how they were buying a stock, and then literally 30 seconds later, they would sell the stock. That's pumping and dumping, right? That's doing bad things. That's taking advantage of your communities. Not to mention that there was a rat within the Discord leaking their audio conversations. And one of them even said in one of those conversations, once again, this is factual. This was at least in the SEC and Department of Justice filings against them. One of them even said, we're robbing these fucking idiots of their money. They knew what they were doing. They knew they were doing crummy stuff. This doesn't clear the air, at least in my head. You're allowed to have your own opinions about this, of course, but this doesn't clear everything away from them just because they weren't found guilty in court of law. I'll piggyback off that to make my third and final point, which is just because they weren't found guilty does not mean they didn't do it. There's a very big difference between knowing someone committed a crime and then being able to charge them for it, right? Especially when it comes to a case like this. The way that the pump and dump law is worded, specifically, there needs to be proof of intent, which is very, very difficult to prove. You have to know that the reason why someone sold their stock was because they pumped it up and they wanted to pump it up to their followers and sell into their followers for their own profit. And of course, there are a trillion different reasons for why someone would sell a stock. And I'm sure the Atlas lawyer brought almost all of those up in the courtroom, right? It's so hard to prove intent, and it's so hard to prove guilt in a crime, in a court of law. And that's our court system, right? I'm sure you all can think of 10, 15 different cases or crimes that you are pretty damn sure someone did and they still got away with in the limelight. So please, once again, piggybacking off of point number two, just because they weren't charged, this doesn't make Atlas, once again, these great omens of the stock market. And you should go back to just listening to everything they say, because obviously they were innocent, right? Those are my 3 points. Those are my thoughts to wrap up this Atlas case. If you have your own thoughts, put them in the comment section down below, but relax, right? Once again, people are very contentious about this. People love to argue for or against Atlas. Relax, be adults, give your opinions in the comment section down below. As I said with point number one, though, these guys are also human beings. There's no need for any of us to be freaking out about these people that none of us know personally. So just keep all that in mind. And with all that being said, that's going to do it for this video. That's going to wrap up the Atlas conversations. Oh, and long live DraftKings. I'm making a killing on this thing.